What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another game day update presented by Valley Sports Southeast. I'm Kelcey. That is Michael Wallace. Today, the Memphis Grizzlies will help celebrate MLK Day with their 2:30 tip. Yes, 2:30. So it is nice and early. Make sure you're still watching on Valley Sports Southeast. We've got you covered. But today they'll take on the Chicago Bulls, the number one team right now in the Eastern Conference, Mike. But it is a team that is without some of its major stars. Lonzo Ball is out. Caruso, Cook, Green, Jones, Patrick Williams, and of course, most recently is Zach LaVine. They still got DeMar DeRozan. They still got a whole bunch of guys that can score. They got Kobe White, obviously for the Grizzlies. Dylan Brooks is still out. Eve and Killian Tilly both out as well. But the biggest loss, of course, Mike, is Zach LaVine on the side of Chicago. How does that change how this team comes in? And they're trying to get out of a 3-game losing streak here. The Grizzlies trying to get right back onto a winning streak.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Chicago coming in, having lost 4 of their last 5 overall, 3-game losing streak, but they still hold on to that top spot in the Houston Conference. And I realized when I showed the shirt, the graphic at the bottom probably won't be able to show it, but this is the We Cannot Walk Alone themed shirt from a couple of years ago from Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Weekend. That's always a phenomenal weekend of what we do here in Memphis and across the league. So just the game itself is one thing, but the whole commemoration of what Dr. King stood for and the legacy is another thing as well. So it's an honor and a privilege to cover a game on this weekend, but also to watch 2 of the most surprising, dynamic teams we have in this league. So you pointed it out. The Bulls are going to be short at the guard spot when you're missing Caruso, Ball, and Zach, LaVine. Those are 3 guys that are clutch players. They make that engine go. But when you look at what they do have available, DeMar DeRozan has been one of the better players in the league this year, and Nick Vucevic is one of the most productive centers that we have in the league. So between those 2 guys, they have enough there that can make this game compelling. And the Grizzlies are coming off of a home loss. So we'll see. 8 games in 12 days is a hectic stretch to play basketball for Memphis. Now they had a couple of days of rest. Can they reset and get back going again to rekindle their winning ways?
All right. So if you are the Chicago Bulls coming into today's game, you're out LaVine and you're going against John Morant, you're going against Desmond Bane, you're going against Steven Adams, and you mentioned Vucevic. How does the game plan evolve now without Zach LaVine, knowing that you've got DeMar DeRozan, who is he's a mid-range specialist. Yeah. He didn't even take a shot from the 3 in the last game, hit 9 of 9 from the foul line. He's trying to get to bucket. He's trying to pull up from mid-range. And then Vucevic is coming off a 27-point game. If you are the Chicago Bulls coming into today, you got to stop John Morant. You got to stop Desmond Bane, you got to stop Jaren Jackson Jr. and somehow get Vucevic off going up against one of the biggest, strongest guards or centers in the league. What's the game plan?
If you're the Bulls, your game plan is to look at what Dallas did to the Grizzlies a couple of nights ago. Slow the game down, play at your pace. You don't have 3 of your guards, as we talked about before, with Zach being out, Caruso being out, and Ball being out. So you don't have the guys that control the pace for you. Slow it down, allow DeMar DeRozan to operate in the mid-range, in the half court, allow Vucevic to do his pick and pop and roll to the baskets and spread kind of thing, what he does. What you want to do is you want to carve up the Grizzlies. Take the shot clock down as far as you can take it, minimize the possessions, and maximize your efficiency. That's the game plan for Chicago. Now, if you're the Grizzlies, you have to get back up to forcing turnovers, scoring off turnovers, things that you've led the league in since December 1. Creating that frenetic pace, running guys all out of the comfort level that they've been in. The Grizzlies did a great job of that with that first quarter, the first half of the first quarter against Dallas, but then the game slowed down to a halt, and that's when they kind of lost control of it. So the Grizzlies have to speed up the Bulls. The Bulls want to slow down the Grizzlies.
All right. Another thing that the Grizzlies do well is obviously offensive rebounding, second chance points, leading in both in the league. In the last game the Bulls had against Boston, they allowed 17 offensive rebounds for 17 second chance points. Can the Grizzlies capitalize on that again tonight?
They certainly can. And Robert Williams had a field day against the Bulls front line. So if you have an athletic, energetic big, you can cause some problems to the Chicago Bulls on the front line. Vucevic is not an athletic big. He's more of a skill big. They don't have a lot of guys that are going to be able to compete with that kind of jumping ability, the Jaren Jackson Jr. length, the Steven Adams relentlessness. Those are 2 things that have to come back into the fold for the Grizzlies if they want to be able to control this game. They can do it, but you just have to activate Jaren Jackson Jr. again. He got away from the Jaren that we saw over the last week and a half, and he sort of took a step back. But I think Jaren is ready to prove that this last game wasn't one of his best games, and he needs to get back to being reestablished as a paint presence on both ends of the floor from a rebounding and a defensive standpoint.
Okay, so Jaren Jackson Jr. on the offensive end, we want to see him have a big night going up against Vucevic. On the defensive end, someone's got to slow down DeMar DeRozan. Who's that going to be today?
I mean, it's got to be an assortment of guys. I keep saying that, you know what I mean? You want to throw multiple looks at guys. I want to see what Zaire Williams can do against them. You know, you're talking about Zaire moving up to the starting lineup. I really like Kelcey. We didn't talk about this before, but I like the tweak that the Grizzlies coaching staff made and went with the 5 young guys in the starting lineup. I do think that was detrimental to the second unit because I don't think we had a lot of energy coming off the bench in that situation, whereas Brandon Clark is an energy guy. Zaire Williams is an energy guy. So the second unit kind of slowed down a little bit. But if we can figure out how to get those bigs and those big wings on a guy like DeMar DeRozan, Desmond Bane is going to get a shot at him. Kyle Anderson is going to get a shot at him. DeAnthony's going to get a shot at him. And Zaire, all 4 of those guys are going to rotate at some point on DeMar, but they have to be assignment specific because he does get to the line, as you said. He's going to draw fouls. You just got to defend without fouling.
Yeah, we'll obviously know the starting lineup closer to tip. I would assume that Steven Adams gets injected back into that starting lineup. It was more of a conditioning thing, getting him back after COVID protocols, which would move Brandon Clark back into the second units, which would be nice to have that rotation of bigs and have his energy once again come from that bench unit. Like I said, though, the game tips off at 2:30 today. So we are just a few hours away. So unlike last game where I was like, grab your morning coffee because this one is not late and head out to FedEx Forum. We want to see you guys there. There is a great presentation happening. It's going to be just such a great game. Lots of stuff happening halftime before the game. So make sure you're there.
Yeah, I was going to say the Earl Lloyd Sports Legacy Symposium starts at 1:00. Pete Pranica does a great job presenting all 3 of the honorees this year. Muggsy Bogues, Allen Houston, and Elvin Hayes, 3 guys that I've had a chance to meet and have seen play over the course of my life and their careers. So it's going to be a fun day, a meaningful day, impactful day. I can't wait.
All right. So if you want to get your tickets, you can go to grizzlies.com or you can call 901-888-HOOP. And if you're chilling at home, you can watch it on Bally Sports Southeast. Remember, 2:30 p.m. It tips off. Don't be late. We can't wait to see you guys there.